Hello, patrons. This is Cyber Saloon. So today we're going to be going over Danmachi Season 3, Episode 12. I thought this was a good season finale overall. I wasn't quite expecting it to reach the heights that we've gotten for nearly half of Season 3. Season 3 has been a wild ride. Honestly, it makes the other seasons pale in comparison, and that's not like a bad thing. I just think this season overall was like exceptional. Like, not just from the content we got from it, but just the way that it was done. The voice acting, the animation, most of it. Gross still didn't, some of the Xenos still didn't get quite that much of the animation budget, but honestly, this season overall was really good, and I hope the next season comes close to this level or even surpasses it. I can't wait to see what's next. So we start off this episode, we see Asterius, he's wandering around Oreo, and we come to find out he's looking for Bell. And this surprised me because I did not see this coming. I kind of figured that like Asterius was kind of like one of the first like Xenos to come to realize to have true intelligence. So I kind of figured that he's been around for a while. But we come to find out this Minotaur is the one that Bell slays in season 1 when he becomes a true hero, and we see that people see like his true potential like as an adventurer. This is that Minotaur, his knife, the one that Welf made for him. This is that Minotaur, and we see that Ortorella kind of points him in the direction where Bell is, and we see that Asterius really wants a rematch with Bell. Sad he didn't get his arm back. I wonder if he ever will get his arm back, but maybe he will. I assume there's some magic item or something that regrows an arm, but it's even we see later that even without like one of his arms, he's still an absolute monster. So it seems, unfortunately, my favorite character is kind of an asshole, but him and Freya kind of have the same goal for Bell, except that Hermes doesn't want to jump Bell's bones like Freya does. We see him from where he left off last episode, where he looks like he was a traitor, and in fact, he kind of is. So Hermes views it in the way that Bell's reputation has gone to shit, like in terms of the general public. And the only way for Bell to regain that reputation, and the only way for him to regain that like reputation of him like being like a hero, is to have some of these monsters go out and start attacking people, and Bell has to save like people from these monsters. Because Hermes views it right now as like, oh, okay, like Bell's reputation right now is not great, and the only way that he's ever gonna become like a symbol to the people again is if he like slays some of these monsters, and these intelligent monsters, the Xenos, are like a big problem for Hermes. So that is kind of his goal, and he says that he'll let the rest of the monsters go, but he needs like 3 or 4 monsters to go out there and to make start attacking people, put on a show basically, and make Bell basically kill them. So we see that everyone in the Hesta Familia is gathered up, like Bell, Welf, Mikoto, and everyone else, Lily. And then they notice that they look in the sky and they hear like a monster noise. And we notice that Gross is leading about 3 or 4 monsters, and they're heading toward the downtown square. And they're really confused about what the hell they're even doing there in the first place. So Gross lands in the square along with the other monsters, and he just starts backhanding bitches like crazy. He makes a pretty good like show of like what he's supposed to be doing, and then of course Bell goes down there to confront him like, what the hell are you doing? We see that Hermes has taken up his Bond villain position on the map. He's just watching it from the tower, watching the chaos unfold below. So this part I found really funny. So it cuts back to Hermes when he's talking to the Xenos. He's saying, I'll let the rest of you go, but I need 3 or 4 of you just to put on the act, and like Bell needs to kill you. And Gross just says, yeah, I'll do it, like an absolute Chad like that. I'm just like, damn, Gross, fucking ride or die. Like he's just like, yeah, I'll do it, no problem. And he actually understands too, and like I was like, dang, Gross, like what a real one. Gross is an absolute Chad born, and he has my respect. I mean, I always thought he was cool, but I just thought it was funny that Hermes is like, yeah, I need 3 or 4 people to go die to restore Bell's reputation, and Gross is like, yeah, I'll do it. Then we end up finding out what Ainya's bracelet's for. So of course Hermes is playing 40 chess, and always is apparently. And that bracelet, he gave that bracelet to Anya because he knew it. It's like Hermes gives Gross like some like crystal that basically like locks on, I guess, to that bracelet. And Hermes gave that bracelet to Anya because he knew that he wanted Gross to attack the people like that Bell cared about, because it would of course spur him to action. And that's what he ended up doing. And so we see that Gross is going in to attack Anya, and of course Bell is the one there to stop him. And then we cut back to Hermes' Bond villain position on the map. So he he gives his kind of speech on like what his goal for Bell is. We of course know that Hermes and Freya like both want to see Bell reach his full potential. Hermes kind of views it as these deep root. He hates the Xenos. Like he doesn't agree with Oranos and Fells. Not because he specifically hates monsters, but he thinks the idea of monsters and humans coexisting is dumb. And the reason he thinks that is because they've been killing each other for thousands of years, and he views the idea of just throwing that away as sacrosanct. He doesn't agree that like that should like be a thing, that they should live together. And part of the reason he believes this is because in order for Bell to reach his like true potential, like he views like monsters have to be there. Because if the monsters go away, I mean, what? It's just like Bell can't reach his full potential, and so that's why Hermes has a vested interest into making sure that he isn't like that's why he let the rest of the Xenos go. He doesn't hate them. He just views them as basically like an obstacle in his path to make Bell reach his full potential and become a symbol of the people. Basically, he wants Bell to be like the hero of the new age. And that's why he like planned all this all along. He doesn't want Bell's reputation going into the trash bin, and he needs like monsters to be there so that he can rally people to Bell to be that symbol or that hero that like he wants Bell to become. So while we see Bell, he's fighting Gross, but he's not really like putting all of it into it. And you see the people, like the crowd, like, because there's a lot of people in that square where Gross and all the other monsters landed. They're all, like, cheering his name, like, yeah, Bell, do it. And then I thought this was cool. I love the flashbacks we go to Zeus, because I don't know if Zeus is dead or not, but I do like seeing him when he is on screen, because he's so goofy, but he's an interesting character. We see that Zeus basically tells Bell, like, to always, essentially to stick to your principles and never, like, change them for anyone. And we see, of course, that Bell is truly a man of principle, and he doesn't move. So, like, in front of Anya, like, he just, like, okay, like, attack me, Gross. Because I think deep down he knows that Gross won't actually attack him, and he believes that Gross won't actually attack him. And Bell's not going to give in to, like, the farce to, like, start attacking back and killing, like, Gross and some of the other monsters. So he just, like, opens his arms and is like, okay, like, do your thing, Gross. Like, go ahead, kill me. Gross backs off, and he's, like, of course, like, flies away, because Gross isn't going to do it. Hermes calls him a fool again because Hermes is mad his plan's not going to come together. So he tells Asfi to make him go insane, basically. What I think he meant by that is like what happened with Ween about crazy night. It's not even 2 episodes ago, but when she went insane, I think Hermes wanted Asfi to basically make Gross go into that mode where he just goes berserk and probably tries to kill people. But before that can happen, out of nowhere, freaking Asterius comes out of nowhere like a DBZ like rival just to go and attack Bell, smashes Bell through like a city district and just like nails him into the ground. I'm like, shit, dude, that happened a lot sooner than expected. It's funny because you just see like Asterius just like come out of the sky and you're just like, oh damn, I guess that's happening right now. Asterius tells Bell about the dream, like this vision that he always has. And of course, the vision that he has is the fight that Bell and Asterius ended up having in season 1, and he like has that dream all the time. And so it's been like a main goal of his to fight Bell again. So that's why he's always been trying to get stronger. So he ends up challenging Bell to a fight, and we all know how that's gonna go. We see that like all the other monsters, like Gross, all the ones who attacked initially, like Lily and the Hestia Familia, so like Welf and all them, they basically got them out of there and like put them in invisibility cloaks because they wanted them to go back to Gnosis as well. And so we see them like start to sneak out, and then of course, to the surprise of no one, Asterius is like clapping Bell's cheeks. Like there was no way that I figured that Bell would be able to put that much of a fight, like even without his Agronaut mode on. Remember, like Asterius fought Bet and Tione, who are both level. Bet's a level 6, and I'm pretty sure Tione's a level 6 as well. And he fought them both with ease, and it didn't even take him that much effort to easily defeat both of them. So I didn't expect Bell was even going to put up that much of a fight initially anyway. Then it cuts to Tione and Tione, the Amazon twins of the Loki Familia, and they're trying to get to Bell, and we see that Freya's Familia is blocking them. I forgot the guy's name. I'm not sure if it mentioned it in season 2, but I think he's one of Freya's level 6s. So we see that like at all routes, like where everyone's trying to reach Bell, that they're being blocked by someone. Like Eyes and Bet, they're like being watched by these 2 mages, and they're not letting them go either. And Eyes and Bet are just like it. I don't think they'd go anyways. I think they were just interested in watching the fight. And then we see that Finn and runs into Ortorol, and Finn realizes like, oh, so the reason we can't go is because of your familia. And Ortorol basically tells them, well, this is the will of Freya. And then he, like, this, I loved it. I thought this was awesome. The Ortorol, like, gets one of his swords and just, like, chunks it into the air. And it ends up all the way where Bell and Asterius are fighting at. And it lands at the, exactly when Bell needs it. I'm just like, dude, like, Ortorol is such a Chad. Like, he's such an awesome character. Like, I hope we get to see more of Freya's familia, because with Sword of Aurario, we get to see a lot of Loki's familia. I obviously don't expect that Freya's gonna get her, like, familia's gonna get their spinoff or anything, but I hope like in the next season, in the coming seasons, we get a little bit more of them, because I do find them interesting. I find them really interesting. They're the strongest familia in Aurario, and we just don't really get to. We see Ortorol like a good amount, just because he's always by Freya's side. He's basically like her bodyguard. He's also the strongest adventurer in the whole of the city. So, but I just, I always wanted to see a little bit more of like some of the other characters within it. So I hope we get to see that more. So we cut back to Hermes, and he's pissed that like his whole like house of cards like comes like crumbling down because of Asterius, and he ends up making like a comment that those who defy the gods shine the brightest, which makes the most sense. Like the people who like basically, I think he's going to try, the people who level up the most or like go the farthest are people who basically don't stay in their lane. Poor Hermes. Hermes is over here like playing 4D chess, and Freya the mastermind is over here playing like 7D chess. They're like the puppeteers of Aurario. I find that Hermes is still my favorite character, and Freya is also one of my favorite characters too, just because they're so interesting, the way that they manipulate events. I don't know, I love them both. Even Hermes, after the little bullshit stunt he tried to pull in this episode, I still love Hermes. We see that, of course, when Bell needs a sword the most, that Ortorol's sword just comes flying out of nowhere and basically lands right next to him. And Bell actually gets some really good hits off with Ortorol's sword. It looks like for a little bit he actually might stand a chance against Asterius, but that doesn't last too long. So we cut back to Freya, and she's basically like saying that she outsmarted Hermes, but while also thanking Hermes, because she wants to see like Bell's true strength in the face of like odds very much stacked against him. So we see that like she's saying, you're gonna finish your fight here, and it's gonna be like, and she's basically saying like, okay, like the fight's gonna end up right here. Freya's the best goddess. I'm sorry, but it's true. So we see Bell pull out his super broken ass skill, the Agronaut mode, which is that's the one that he used in season 1 to kill the big giant, the giant at the last episode. And he's also used it. He's used it in the Ishtar arc too. I forgot who he used it against, but it's basically his skill where it allows him to basically overcome any opponent, or seemingly, because what happens next. So Bell gets his Agronaut skill. He basically charges up the sword with it. Asterius, like, I thought this was badass. He gets in like a bull charge mode, and he basically like charges Bell, and they both collide, and it doesn't work. That's what I thought was like, okay, good. Like, it's not that broken apparently. Like, his Asterius just fucking nails him. Like, sends him flying and throws him like all the way into the ground, and you see Bell just like spit out blood everywhere. And I'm glad that Asterius did win this fight, because again, if you remember back when Asterius basically made his entrance, he beat basically most, if not all, of Ganesha's familia. Beat Aisha and Ryu, not even with no problem. He beat Bet and Tione with almost no effort. Like, he's extremely powerful, so it makes sense that Bell didn't win this. I don't think Bell should have won this, so I'm glad that he didn't. And we see Asterius kind of talk to him like, one loss, one win. So now we're even now. Like, I'll be ready for next time. So I hope that Bell and Asterius end up friends, because Asterius, I hope he gets more characterization, because I do find him interesting. He's probably one of the most interesting Xenos of them all. Not just because he's strong, but he's just, I don't know, every time he comes on screen, it's like, oh, okay, like, Asterius is awesome. I want to listen to what he has to say. So I hope he gets more screen time in the next season, but he wants to, this is like a little DBZ rivalry. Like, Asterius is the Goku of Danmachi apparently, because he's like, okay, Bell, get stronger so we can fight again. I'm just like, okay, Bell's got himself like a true rival now. Like, but that's the way that the fight ended, and I'm glad that it ended that way. We see that Bell is really upset that he lost. Like, he ends up crying because he's like, that's a lie. Like, I'm fine losing. that was a fight that Bell obviously wanted to win too, because again, like his goal is to become a hero, basically not just like to impress Eyes, basically, but to surpass her. But he ends up losing that fight, and so I really hope we see them fight again, but also hope we see them become friends and get a little bit closer, because I think Asterius is a really interesting character. So then we cut to the end credits, and we see I thought that the season finale was going to end with like everyone having like the monsters would get away, but at a price. I thought they'd all end up in the dungeon, like okay, like Desta Familia is basically shunned, and like they all have to go in the dungeon for a while. But that's not even what happened. The monsters end up going back to Knossos, and it ends with like Hestia and everyone else in the Familia. And then we see that Bell is just overlooking Aurelio, and we see that, of course, I'm glad I thought this was a cool moment where Eyes shows up, and Bell's like, "Why are you here?" And Eyes tells him that, "Well, I figured you'd be here." So, of course, Bell asks Eyes to train him, because Eyes is easily one of the best fighters in Aurelio. And he wants to get strong enough to, like, be on, like, somewhat of a par with Asterius, because he still feels pretty guilty about even losing in the first place. But his reputation was gained. Like, everything's relatively back to normal. So, like, Bell isn't seen as basically, or Hestia, they're not really seen as, like, traitors in the, like, the eyes of the public. So, in that sense, things ended pretty well, and I'm also glad that Eyes and like Bell don't have like a fallout because of like what happened in the last episode. Like, I'm glad they're still like pretty good friends, and I'm glad that Eyes is still going to train Bell to get a little bit stronger, because I think Bell is level 3 currently, and Eyes is level 6, so Bell's got quite a ways to go. Overall, honestly, I thought the episode was good. Like, again, I wasn't expecting like crazy shit like we got with like nearly half of this season, but I thought it was a good way to end the season. I don't know why. I have obviously no evidence, but I don't know why, but it seems like they probably cut out a lot of stuff and rushed it a little bit. But again, like, I still thought it was a good episode overall. I can't wait for the next season. So my thoughts for the next, I hope we get more Asterius, and I figure we're gonna get more Asterius. I hope we get a little bit more of the Xenos. I imagine that like Haruhime is probably going to go find Ween again, or at least visit Ween again. As for the next villain, I assume it's probably going to focus on Evilus, because remember that was kind of like a plot point this season, was Evilus were a bunch of bad hombres in the background. So I hope we get to learn more about them, because it seems like they're kind of like the evil kind of masterminds about what's like happening in the dungeon. They're like some nefarious group. So I hope we get to find out a little bit more about them. I wonder if Ikelos will come back too. I hope so. I don't know. I found Ikelos. You would think so, because Ikelos seems probably knows a lot about that organization. But if not, I hope we still get some seeds of it next season. Overall, I thought the season was great. This was easily the best season of Danmachi. I thought the animation staff at JC did a great job. The voice acting, everything else. If only Gross and some of the monsters got some of the animation budget, but that's a small qualm. I thought it was a great season overall, and I'm definitely excited for the next one. Tell me, you guys, what you thought in the comments below. How do you think the season was overall? Like, what were some of your favorite moments? Mine were definitely the biggest hype moment of the season. I would probably say for me was probably when Bell by himself, like cross arms like against the Loki Familia. And also at number 2, I'd probably put the Asterius beating Bet, Tione, and Eyes. And 3, I thought the whole Bell and Eyes confrontation was pretty interesting as well. The most emotional moment, of course, is probably when Wing gets brought back to life, or her like ripping out her claws and Wing. But what were some of your favorite moments throughout the season, and what do you think is going to happen in the next season? You think Evilus is going to be explained, or do you think it's going to be some other group basically connected to them, and we get to learn more that way? That's all I got for this one, guys. I have a Twitter link posted in the description below, so follow me there if you like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Merry Christmas and take care.